Betrayal stings worst when it comes from those you trusted most. I'm Marion, 32, and this is the story of how my own sister and coworkers stabbed me in the back, thinking they'd buried me until I turned the tables and took back what was mine. It's a messy tale of office politics, family dysfunction, and the kind of revenge that feels so good, you almost feel guilty. Almost. Grab a coffee, because this is a long one, and it's got all the drama you'd expect from a real-life corporate conspiracy. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories like this. Every day comes with a new story. Don't miss out. 6 years ago, I was a 26-year-old with a dream and a chunk of savings from my first job in marketing. I'd always been the responsible one. Straight A student. The kid who helped mom pay bills when dad's construction business tanked. So when my college friend Greg pitched me on a tech startup, Tech Trend Innovations, I saw potential. I invested everything I had, $200,000, my entire nest egg, into the company. In return, I got a 60% stake, but I set it up through a trust to stay anonymous. I didn't want to be the boss. I wanted to work in the trenches, build something real. Greg became CEO, I took head of marketing, and we grew Tech Trend into a $50 million company. My campaigns, sleek, data-driven, and creative, were the backbone of our success. Clients loved me, the team respected me, and Greg called me his secret weapon. I kept my ownership quiet. Only my lawyer, Sarah, and the board knew. It wasn't about ego, it was about freedom. Being the boss changes how people treat you, and I wanted to earn respect for my work, not my title. Plus, I liked the idea of having an ace up my sleeve. Call it insurance. Enter my sister, Lila, 28, the polar opposite of me. Where I was steady, she was sparkly, charming, ambitious, and a little too good at playing the damsel in distress. Growing up, we were close, but there was always this undercurrent of rivalry. I got the grades, she got the attention. I paid for her college, she partied through it. Still, I loved her. So when she came to me last year, teary-eyed, begging for a job after her latest gig fell through, I didn't hesitate. I pulled strings to get her a junior marketing coordinator role at Tech Trend. I thought I was helping my little sister get on her feet. I was wrong. Lila started strong, all smiles and enthusiasm. But within weeks, I noticed her piggybacking on my work. I'd pitch a campaign in a team meeting, say a viral social media strategy for a new client, and Lila would rephrase it to Greg later, claiming it as her own. The first time, I let it slide. She was new, eager to impress, but it kept happening. My ideas, her spotlight. My team started whispering, noticing how Greg fawned over her. "She's got him wrapped around her finger," Jess, my work bestie, said. Over lunch one day, Jess was a senior designer, loyal and sharp, and she saw through Lila's act from the start. I brushed it off. "She's just trying to prove herself," I told Jess. "She'll settle down." But deep down, I felt a prickle of unease. Lila wasn't just ambitious, she was strategic. She'd linger in Greg's office, laughing at his corny jokes, wearing outfits just a little too polished for a junior role. Soon, Greg started bypassing me in meetings, asking Lila for her fresh perspective. My emails went unanswered. Projects I'd spearheaded were reassigned to team efforts, with Lila taking point. The office vibe shifted. Coworkers I'd mentored stopped inviting me to lunch, and whispers followed me in the halls. It was like I was slowly being erased from the team I'd built. One night, I confronted Lila at her apartment. We were sipping wine on her couch, the same couch I'd helped her buy when she was broke. "Lila, what's going on at work?" I asked, keeping my tone calm. "You're taking credit for my ideas. It's starting to feel personal." She widened her eyes, all innocence. "Marion, I'm just doing my job. You're paranoid. Maybe you're stressed. You work so hard." Her voice was sweet, but her smirk said something else. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a mistake. Lila was gunning for me, and she was playing dirty. The real gut punch came at Thanksgiving. Our family's annual dinner was a big deal. Mom's famous cornbread stuffing, Dad's bad jokes, the whole deal. I'd always been the reliable one. The one who paid for Lila's tuition when Dad's business went under. The one who never asked for a pat on the back. But that night, as we passed the mashed potatoes, Lila dropped a bomb. "Marion's been really controlling at work," she said, her voice trembling like she was about to cry. She's jealous of my success. It's making things so hard for me. I froze, my fork hovering over my plate. Mom gasped, clutching her napkin. Marian, is this true? Dad's face hardened, his voice low. How could you treat your sister like that? I tried to explain. Lila's been taking credit for my work, Dad. She's undermining me. But the words sounded weak, defensive. Lila dabbed her eyes with a napkin, playing the victim to perfection. Mom reached for her hand, and Dad shook his head like I disappointed him. My own parents didn't believe me. They chose Lila's tears over my truth. Driving home, I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Betrayal doesn't just hurt, it burns. My sister wasn't just stealing my thunder at work. She was turning my family against me. I couldn't sleep that night, replaying every moment, wondering how I'd missed the signs. Lila wasn't just competitive. She was ruthless, and she'd weaponized our family's blind spot for her. Monday morning, I walked into Tech Trend and felt the air shift. People avoided my eyes. The break room went silent when I grabbed coffee. At 10 a.m., Greg called me into his office. Lila was there, sitting in the corner, her face unreadable. Greg slid a termination letter across his desk. Marian, this isn't working, he said, his voice clipped. Your performance has slipped, and there's been feedback about your leadership. We're letting you go. I stared at him, then at Lila, who looked at her shoes. Feedback? I asked, my voice cold. From who? Greg shifted in his chair. Multiple sources. It's unanimous. I knew what he meant. Lila had rallied the team against me, probably with sob stories about how I bullied her or sabotaged her work. I could have fought it, demanded proof, but I was too stunned. 6 years of blood, sweat, and tears. And they were kicking me out like nothing. I signed the papers, packed my desk, and walked out, feeling every stare in the office. Jess caught me at the elevator, her face pale. Marian, I'm so sorry, she whispered. Lila told everyone you were toxic, that you tried to get her fired. I didn't believe it, but most of the team did. It's fine, I lied, stepping into the elevator. It wasn't fine. It was a knife in my back, twisted by my own sister. As the doors closed, I swore I'd never let anyone make me feel this small again. For 2 days, I was a wreck. I stayed in my apartment, blinds drawn, living on takeout and wine. My phone buzzed with texts from Mom. Marian, you need to apologize to Lila. She's heartbroken. I ignored them. Dad called once, leaving a voicemail about family unity. I deleted it. Lila didn't reach out, not once. The silence from her hurt more than anything. I sat on my couch, the apartment dark except for the flicker of a candle I'd lit to feel less alone. The wine bottle was empty and my phone was silent. No more texts from Mom, no voicemails from Dad, just me and the weight of Lila's betrayal. I kept replaying it. Her fake tears at Thanksgiving, Greg's smug face when he fired me, the way my team turned their backs. It wasn't just a job they'd taken, it was my identity, my pride. I'd built Tech Trend from nothing, poured my soul into it, and they thought they could erase me. I picked up an old photo from the coffee table, one of me and Lila as kids. We were grinning, arms around each other, covered in mud from playing in the backyard. Back then, I thought we were a team. But even then, she'd always wanted what I had. My toys, my grades, my spotlight. I'd let her take it, thinking that's what sisters do. Now I saw it for what it was, a pattern. She'd always been ruthless, hiding behind that innocent smile, and I'd been too trusting to see it. I tossed the photo into a drawer and stood up, my heart pounding. Enough. I wasn't the one who should be hiding. Lila and Greg thought they'd won, but they didn't know the truth. I owned Tech Trend. That power was mine, and I was done playing nice. I grabbed my laptop and started typing notes for Sarah. This wasn't just about getting my job back. It was about taking control, about showing them what happens when you betray someone who built the ground you stand on. The candle flickered, and for the first time in weeks, I felt alive. Revenge wasn't just a plan. It was my purpose. I kept replaying the betrayal, Lila's fake tears, Greg's smug face, the team's whispers. I'd given everything to TechTrend, to my sister, to my family, and they'd thrown me away. But one night, staring at my empty wine glass, something shifted. I wasn't going to let them win. I owned 60% of TechTrend. They thought they'd buried me, but they'd forgotten who held the real power. I wasn't just going to take my company back, I was going to make them regret crossing me. I called Sarah, my lawyer, the next morning. I want to take back TechTrend, I told her, pacing my living room. But I want it to hurt. I want them to feel what I felt. Sarah laughed, a sharp, gleeful sound. Marian, this is going to be fun. We started digging. Sarah pulled financial records, emails, and performance reports. Greg had been sloppy, using company funds for personal expenses like $10,000 dinners and a shiny new Tesla. Lila, meanwhile, had falsified her metrics, claiming credit for campaigns I'd designed. One email chain showed her pitching my social media strategy to a client, word for word, while telling Greg I'd been uncooperative. It was a goldmine of evidence. Next, I contacted the board as the majority shareholder, using the trust's name to stay anonymous. I requested an emergency meeting and a full audit of TechTrend's finances and leadership. The board, smelling a scandal, jumped at it. I spent days preparing with Sarah, building a case that would leave no room for excuses. I didn't just want Greg and Lila fired, I wanted them humiliated. Exposed for the snakes they were. The board meeting was set for a Friday. I walked into the TechTrend boardroom at 9 a.m., wearing a tailored blazer and my old employee badge just for the irony. Greg was there, laughing with a board member. Lila sat beside him, scrolling her phone, looking smug. When they saw me, their faces froze. Greg's jaw dropped, and Lila went pale as a ghost. Marian, Greg stammered. What are you doing here? I smiled, slow and deliberate, savoring the moment. I'm here as the majority shareholder. Surprise. The room went dead silent. The board members exchanged looks, realizing the game had changed. I laid out the evidence like a prosecutor. Greg's embezzlement with receipts for every dollar he'd stolen. Lila's falsified reports with email proof of her lies. The toxic culture they'd created, backed by anonymous staff testimonies Jess had helped me collect. The board was livid, their faces darkening with every slide of my presentation. Greg tried to bluster his way out. This is a misunderstanding. Marian's just bitter about being fired. I didn't flinch. The numbers don't lie, Greg. Unlike you. Lila went for the victim card, tears streaming down her face. Marian, how could you do this to me? I'm your sister. I looked her dead in the eye. You stopped being my sister when you stabbed me in the back. You wanted my job? You got it. For about 5 minutes. The board voted unanimously to remove Greg as CEO and Lila from her role, effective immediately. Security escorted them out, Greg still sputtering about lawsuits, Lila sobbing like she was auditioning for a soap opera. The board offered me the CEO position, but I declined. I didn't want to run the show, I wanted to own it. I nominated Jess as interim CEO, knowing she'd earned it. As I left the boardroom, I felt a weight lift. Revenge doesn't fix everything, but it sure as hell feels good when it's deserved. Word spread like wildfire. The office was a mix of shock, awe, and a little fear. My old team sent apologies, some genuine, some just covering their asses. I forgave the ones who meant it, like Jess, who'd stuck by me even when it was risky. Lila tried calling a week later, leaving voicemails about family and forgiveness. I didn't call back. Mom and Dad took her side, sending texts about how I'd gone too far. I blocked their numbers. I'd spent my life trying to please them, but I was done. A week after the board meeting, I was grabbing coffee at a cafe near the office when Lila walked in. She looked different, her usual polish gone, her hair in a messy bun, her eyes red. I braced myself as she approached, clutching her purse like a lifeline. Marian, can we talk? Her voice was small, nothing like the confident tone she'd used in meetings. I sipped my coffee, keeping my face blank. What's there to talk about? She sat down uninvited, leaning forward. I messed up, okay? I didn't mean for things to go so far. I was just trying to prove myself. Can't you give me another chance? We're sisters. I laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Sisters? You backstabbed me, Lila. You spread lies, turned my team against me, got me fired. You don't get to play the family card now. Her eyes filled with tears, but I wasn't buying it. I was desperate. She said, "You were always so perfect, Marion. The smart one, the successful one. I just wanted a piece of that." "You didn't want a piece," I snapped. "You wanted it all. You thought you could steal my life and I'd just take it. But you forgot one thing. I'm not the pushover you thought I was." "Marion, please," she begged, her voice breaking. "I'm sorry. I'll do anything to make it right." "Sorry doesn't fix betrayal," I said, standing up. "You made your choice. Now live with it." I walked out, leaving her at the table, her sobs fading behind me. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty. Lila had dug her own grave, and I wasn't going to pull her out. Mom and Dad took her side, of course, sending texts about how I'd gone too far. I blocked their numbers. Few days later, I was at home when my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Mom and Dad standing there, looking uncomfortable but determined. Mom clutched her purse and Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. "Marion, we need to talk," Mom said, stepping inside without asking. "Your father's medical bills are piling up and we need help." I crossed my arms, already knowing where this was going. "You mean you want me to pay them?" "Like always." Dad shifted, his face red. "You've got a good job, Marion. You've always helped out. It's what family does." I laughed, cold and sharp. "Family? You mean the family that believed Lila's lies over me? The family that didn't even call to check on me after I was fired?" Mom's eyes widened. "Lila made a mistake. She's sorry. You can't hold that against her forever." "Oh, I can," I said, "and I will." "You want money? Ask your golden child, Lila. She's the one you've always defended, the one you believed over me. Let her pay your bills." Dad's voice hardened. "Don't be spiteful, Marion. You're better than that." "No, Dad, I'm done being better. I'm done being your ATM. Lila wanted to be the star. Let her shine." I opened the door, gesturing for them to leave. "You made your choice at Thanksgiving. Now live with it." Mom started to cry, but I didn't budge. They left without another word, and I closed the door, my heart heavy but resolute. I'd spent my life bailing them out, but no apology could undo their betrayal. Lila could be their savior now. I was done. TechTrend thrived under Jess's leadership. I stayed in the background, pulling strings through the trust. Clients came back, morale improved, and we landed a $10 million contract I'd been working on before the firing. Every time I walked into the office knowing it was mine, I felt a quiet, burning satisfaction. I'd lost my family, but I'd gained something better. Control of my life. It's been a year since the showdown. Lila's working some entry-level gig at a failing startup, posting vague Instagram quotes about overcoming adversity. Greg's facing fraud charges, and I hear he's selling his vacation home to cover legal fees. I don't wish them ill. I just don't care anymore. Jess and I grab coffee every week, and I've started mentoring young women in tech, teaching them to spot the Lilas and Gregs of the world before they get burned. Betrayal leaves scars, but it also shows you who you are. I'm Marion, the woman who built an empire, lost it to her sister, and took it back with a vengeance. I'm not perfect, but I'm stronger than I ever knew. And I'm just getting started. Leave a comment. Tell me what's your favorite part of this story. Don't forget to bless me with a subscription.